Hi, this is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. Today is June 20th, and I want to give you a little bit of a challenge. I would like you to Google the name Dr. Milan Vuitch, Milan Vuitch. Google that name, pause, Google that name, come back and see what you find about him. Okay? Are you back? If you Googled him, you probably found out that he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. This guy was a hero. This guy challenged the DC abortion law. He stood up for the right of women to have safe, legal abortions. Yeah. This guy, in his criminal practice, let's say he wasn't exactly top of the line. If you read Bernard Nathanson's excellent book, Aborting America, when Nathanson and Larry Lader were founding NARAL, which was originally the National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws, they were looking for abortionists they could send women to. And Nathanson went to observe Vuitch in action, found his technique a bit questionable, but hey, he's willing to do abortions, we'll send women there. And the questionableness evidently increased with legalization, because after Roe versus Wade came down the pike, this guy became absolutely reckless. On June 15th of 1974, 17-year-old Wilma Harris of West Virginia went to Vuitch's abortion clinic in Laurel Clinic for safe, legal abortion. 5 days later, on June 20th, she was dead. During interrogatories, Vuitch said that the anesthesiologist described Wilma as so quiet during the abortion. Although he had begun a vacuum aspiration abortion, he said the fetus was too big to pass through the vacuum suction tube, so he had to use instruments to remove the remaining fetal parts. So he hadn't even estimated the gestational age accurately. Although the abortion was completed at around 2 p.m., Vuitch didn't transfer Wilma to a properly equipped hospital until after midnight. Now, Wilma's family sued, saying that Vuitch and his staff had allowed her to lapse into a coma and lie unattended for those 12 hours before they transferred her to the hospital. The suit claimed that Vuitch and his staff falsified records to cover their tracks, and the family won a judgment on December 23, 1976. However, the settlement was sealed by court order, so you and I can't get the details of what Wilma's family found out about what this guy did to their little girl. Fast forward, a young woman named Georgiana English died after an abortion by Vuitch. Now, interestingly enough, Wilma's death didn't get any news coverage. It just totally flew under the radar. Jeannie English's death didn't. WDVM-TV in DC won a Peabody Award for their expose after Wilma's death. And let me tell you, they caught him doing some seriously appalling stuff that I will cover when I cover Jeannie English's death. And Vuitch isn't the only one that managed to keep his nose clean as a back alley butcher, only to turn around and kill not one but 2 patients after legalization. We had Jesse Ketchum, who, again, he was kind of, as a criminal abortionist, but no corpses that I could connect to him. After legalization, he killed Margaret Smith and Carol Shawner doing outpatient hysterotomies. I mean, that's cutting open the uterus to get the baby out and let it die in his office, outpatient. And as I covered recently, Benjamin Munson in South Dakota managed to kill Linda Padfield and Yvonne Mestiff by leaving massive amounts of their unborn babies in their bodies and sending them home to die of hemorrhage and infection. So, legalization didn't really have much impact on who was doing abortions. Both Planned Parenthood and a woman named, her name will come to me in a minute. She did a book called The Search for an Abortionist, Nancy Howell Lee. So we had 2 independent researchers looking into who was doing abortions before legalization. Both of them came up with roughly the same percentage being done by doctors, which was around 90%. And Nancy Howell Lee broke it down even further of the 10% who didn't go to doctors, 80% of them went to somebody with some kind of medical training, like a nurse, a dentist, a veterinarian, somebody who knew their way around medicine, knew how to use sterile technique, knew how to clean the instruments. Typically, they had access to medications. So it wasn't this horrible free-for-all of greasy old men with coat hangers. It was Milan Vuitch, Jesse Ketchum, and Ben Munson, who managed to keep their noses clean until legalization took away the fear of prison, and then they started racking up the dead patients.